What's poppin', y'all? I hope I'm really not wrong on this one, but it might be an open and shut case with Liangelo Ball because he just signed to Def Jam, which is one of the worst. I don't think I've heard of a worse record label in the past 6 to 8 years than Def Jam. People that have been on there have told me how terrible it is. Just opening your two eyes, you can see how terrible it is. And when was the last time you ever heard of an artist signed to them? So what happened was, the reports came out. Initially, I heard about it from the Breakfast Club, where Jess was talking about how, Liangelo Ball, clap it up for him. He got a deal. You know how much it is. I heard it was like 7 or 8 million. Charlemagne said, yeah, he had heard about it before, but he didn't want to say anything. He just said, is that boy signed? He heard people were giving him a deal. And then it also came out via this news reporter, Shams Charania. And he said, Liangelo Ball has signed a deal with Def Jam and Universal Music Group. A representative from his label, Born to Ball Music Group, says. Sources said the deal is worth as much as $13 million, with $8 million guaranteed, and gives Ball full ownership of music and his own record label. First, people are trying to nitpick, what does $8 million guaranteed mean? Isn't that in advance? We will never know the details of this, but let's just say the numbers, right? Like, let's say 7, 8 million. Let's say for a multiple album deal. And if he owns the rights, people are like, how is he going to make money? Or how are they going to make money if he owns the rights? Well, they could just get royalties. So they can get royalties up until a certain point in time, right? Maybe they get 80% until it covers whatever the amount of money that they gave him was. And then it flips. And then he starts to get 80% and they get 20%. But he still owns the rights to do whatever he wants with the music. So if he doesn't want them to put it in some children's cartoon show, I don't know, something that Liangelo would not want his music to be shown, displayed, heard, he has the right to veto it. That's basically what owning it means. He also has the right to sell the ownership to it. So he owns the master. That doesn't necessarily mean you collect the money on it. It depends on the deal. It's a bunch of complications that we don't want to get into for this video. But I just wanted to go down Def Jam so we could potentially see how terrible this place is. So I'm just going to go down the roster real quick with you guys. It won't take more than a couple of minutes to realize what the hell is Liangelo Ball doing here and what service would they even provide him. Like, first off, let's just look down the list, right? And we want to find an artist within the past 5 or 6 years has blown up and signed to Def Jam and done better. So if we've got artists from a decade plus ago, we don't care about that, right? Like, if you guys got Justin Bieber's been lit for damn near, I was about to say 20 years. Like 12, 13 years, maybe even more. So off rip, we got 2 Chainz, old, right? 070 Shake, great artist, but she got put on there via when Good Music kind of fell apart. They just got moved to Def Jam. So they haven't really done much with her, as talented as she is. Remember, her project did really well. I forgot what it was. It kind of had this robotic, kind of not cyberpunk, but cyborg type album cover. People received that well, and her appearance on Ye, the album. And look what happened. They didn't really do much with her at all. 2 Chainz, old. Alessia Cara, she has not been relevant since her first album, 2016. Those were the biggest hits, and she signed to Def Jam. This was 2015, 2016. She got a big look from, what was her name? Taylor Swift at the time. I think the song was These 4 Walls, or 4 Pink Walls, I think, that Taylor Swift said she really loved the songwriting for. Alessia Cara hasn't dropped an album in 4 years. Last album she dropped was 2021. And she just put out some Christmas holiday EP. I don't know if she added something to it, but that's the most recent thing she's put out. So they cooked her, and she's a pop star. Liangelo's a rapper. Keep going down the list. Benny the Butcher, he basically is doing his own thing. Big Sean, what's Big Sean doing now? Also, Big Sean is like from 15 years ago. Chris Patrick, I didn't even know he was signed to Def Jam. I would say Chris Patrick was more lit, and I was hearing about him before he signed to Def Jam. So I don't even know what they're doing with him right now. And Chris Patrick, if you guys aren't familiar, he's this artist. He would fit well in Dreamville. That's basically the best way I can describe it to you. Has a similar style to them. I wouldn't say he's copying them, but he would fit there. All these other rappers, no idea what their names are. Connie Diamond, Coco Jones, DMX, passed away. Who else? Friday, I've heard this name maybe once or twice. Who else? Who's new? I'm scrolling down and I don't see any name that's relatively new that I've heard of, or that you guys have probably heard of. Nasty C's been signed there forever. Potter Paper, he's popping in the UK. So he's really popping, and he's a good rapper. Rhapsody, not popping. Suave, I thought he was a signee to Metro Boomin, or Boominati. I don't know what he's doing. I haven't heard that name in 4 to 5 years. That was the first time I heard about him. I actually kind of enjoyed his music. Tana Leone, I've heard this name, but no idea what's going on. So you just look at this roster, and you're looking around like, damn, what the hell? He is not in good company. And this can be a good thing if it's a smaller label where they can devote a lot of their resources to Liangelo Ball. But it seems that Liangelo Ball is signing to, because think about it. Liangelo Ball is not going to get an advantage working with any of these artists. I mean, unless he works with one of these pop acts. I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense. And I know Def Jam's leadership changed maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, sometime after 2020. But not much has changed at that label. I know they've been trying to sign new people, but that thing is dead in the water, man. I don't know what's going on there. I think they're just collecting off of the rights to music that they've owned for so long. It's a legacy name at this point. We're not even looking at... You hear Def Jam and you think of the video games, you think of the 80s, 90s, maybe even 2000s. Jay-Z is the last time I really think of Def Jam. After that, or good music. But good music, you think of good music. And then I think a lot of people don't even know it was distributed via Def Jam. So it seems to me that the case is that Liangelo Ball maybe has his own label deal with Def Jam. But what I don't get is there was definitely a bidding war. He definitely had many other options that he could have gone with. But why did he go with this? He could have just gotten a distribution deal. I don't know if this is a distribution deal, but if it's a distro deal, they're not giving him $8 million for one song. Because he's only had one song so far that's done anything. It doesn't matter what other songs he's got in the tuck. We don't know how those are going to be received. Now, will I say this is dumb from Def Jam? I don't know. Because they've got their numbers. They can see what they're potentially going to do with the song. Maybe they've got connections. Maybe they feel like, oh, we can get this on a lot of games. We can license this. We can do a very good job on the back end to make money out of this song. But that's not necessarily doing well for Liangelo Ball's career. So I'm not criticizing the amount that Def Jam gave him, although the last time I saw this amount being thrown around, and it was official, Coi Leray was talking about it, but I don't know how official that was, where she said she got $8 million, and it was the biggest deal of that year. She said it in a Vlad interview. But it was Roxanne by Arizona Zervis, where he signed to Columbia, and he had a song chart on the Hot 100. It was maybe like top 40. And then they signed him for $8 million. So that was something unheard of. And charting that high is crazy. So for him to get that deal, that makes sense. But Liangelo Ball's tweaker is not as big as that was, regardless of how often we're hearing it. So that's where I start to think, what's going on here? And why wouldn't he just sign, if it was a distribution deal, why wouldn't he just do it directly through Universal as opposed to Def Jam? Garbage Def Jam. I just really wish, even if it's not public, I really wish I could get into the heads and understand what the leadership at Def Jam is trying to do, is struggling with, and wants to change. And why they even signed Liangelo Ball. Now, it's a good look. This is a better look for Def Jam than it is for Liangelo. And what's interesting here, Liangelo is really, really tied into sports because you've got sports reporters talking about his signing, which they're not doing about any other artist. So it's an interesting thing where he's in the middle between sports and hip-hop, and he didn't need the money because Liangelo, they're a tight family. Liangelo's probably running some sort of business that's adjacent to one of his brothers or their brand as a whole, so he doesn't need money. They're not going to leave their brother strung out. So I don't think he made that decision. So if it's not based on money, then you would think it would be based on working with a record label, because he didn't need to sign to a record label either. So you would think it would be to sign to a label that can do their best job in making sure your song gets as big as it can possibly be and your career continues and you get bigger and bigger over time, which is something that we haven't seen Def Jam do in this entire millennia. I mean, other than maybe Jay-Z, right? When he was president. So since Jay-Z left that building, we haven't seen Def Jam do that. So I wish I got the behind the scenes. Somebody can explain to me why Liangelo signed there and what Def Jam is doing. I don't need to know why Def Jam signed Liangelo. That's obvious. I would like to know what they're doing and trying to turn the Def Jam brand into right now to, it's not get relevant again, but to compete, because they're not competitive. You think of top 25 labels, you're not thinking of Def Jam, which is sad considering the storied history that it has from New York too. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I would say Liangelo signing should have been a given. 100% he should have done it, because yeah, he would have made more money, quote unquote, independent, but it would have been a flash in the pan where I don't think he would have the machine to recreate hit after hit. And that's something that certain labels, really good ones, who have strong digital teams, can make sure that he drops another one and another one. Even though they may not be as hot and it's not such a lightning in the bottle moment, they can somewhat replicate it to make sure that it gets spread. If he was independent, it would fizzle out. Maybe he could have some sort of a career, but him partnering with a record label was always a good idea for him. It's just who it was. Also, Def Jam and Anderson .Paak, he has a label through them. So Anderson .Paak has a label called Ape-ish, and he signed a girl through it called Ray Khalil. So Tunji, who is the CEO of Def Jam now, he's the guy where I said they switched up leadership over there. So I think this is going to be a similar deal for Liangelo with his Born to Ball music group, because they're not saying Liangelo signed. They said via Born to Ball music group. Although I don't know what this girl's doing either. It's an interesting predicament. But I just wanted to add that note. And that was a year ago that they had signed her to this partnership that they had with Anderson .Paak. It's a label. Anderson .Paak creates a label partnership. It's something that Interscope does a lot. So maybe they're trying to follow that model. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.